Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we're going to talk about treating everybody the same because that's the goal, right? That is how we are going to build a just society. We're going to treat everybody the same. I used to think that way. And then I met this guy. That's funny because he wasn't a philosopher, he wasn't a social justice advocate, anything like that. He was the director of photography for Olin Mills. Now, don't laugh. I know what the photos looked like in the 70s and 80s. They looked that way because that's how we looked and how we dressed and what we were buying. This guy was a genius, not just creatively, but in other ways as well, as you're about to find out. We're standing in the food court of a mall in Albany, Georgia. And somebody had said that to him earlier in the day. I treat everybody the same. And he was kind of venting about it. And he's like, man, I despise that. It rubs me the wrong way when people say that. And I'm like, treating everybody the same. That's a bad thing to you. And he kind of looked at me and he started cussing. And it surprised me. Not because I'm a stranger to coarse language, I'm not. I don't use it in the videos because it's not appropriate everywhere. But I had never heard this man cuss before or after. And when he got done, he was like, and if I said that to you, it wouldn't bother you at all. I'm like, no, it would surprise me, but it wouldn't really bother me. What if I said it to Gina? Well, that was a photographer who worked for him. You'd probably be in HR the next day. And he's like, well, I'd probably be in the unemployment line, but that's not the point. The point is that's treating everybody the same. The goal shouldn't be to treat everybody the same. It should be to treat everybody fairly. Okay. And I said it like that. I knew that he had made a great point, but I didn't really grasp it at the time. It took me a while to really think about it. And if you watch enough of these videos, you know I like to relate things to events that have happened in history so people can kind of research it and get a good grasp on it on their own. And this was a hard one. This was a hard one until I thought of McNamara's morons. Now, if you're going to research it, don't use that term. Use Project 100,000. McNamara's morons was kind of a nickname. During the Vietnam War, the U.S. Army needed troops. They needed people. They needed bodies. You know, people weren't signing up. So McNamara got this idea. Under the guise of treating everybody the same and offering more opportunities to those less fortunate, he waived enlistment standards, minimum enlistment standards. Now, if you don't know, you don't have to be a genius to get into the Army. Now, that's not saying that everybody who joins the Army is dumb. It's saying that you don't need an IQ of 140 to get in. If you can't cut minimum enlistment standards, you are certainly not going to be able to cut combat in Vietnam. The proof of this is the fact that people in this project died at a rate 3 times as high as your average soldier. It doesn't take you long to realize treating everybody the same is not treating everybody fairly. Now, an example from my personal life, I had a strong aversion to Arab males. And I know right now somebody's going, see, Muslims, bad people. No, it wasn't that. It was that they were space invaders. Not like aliens, like personal space invaders. They stood really close to you. It took me a while to even realize what it was that bothered me. It took me a little bit longer to realize it was just a cultural thing. And if I held them to the same standard, treated everybody the same as I would somebody from down here, it wouldn't really be fair. I mean, you know, my people, we shake hands leaning forward because we can't stand too close to each other. You know, somebody might think we were gay, and that's just a horrible, horrible thing. So there's a couple of examples. The problem is this concept of treating everybody fairly rather than treating everybody the same is never going to catch on in the U.S. because we demonize education. We demonize learning about other cultures, other religions, whatever. You know, we're the U.S. We got the greatest culture in the world. Baseball games and hot dogs, I guess. in order to treat everybody fairly, you have to know where they're coming from, which means you have to know a little bit about them, about their culture, about their religion, about who they are as a people. Since we don't do that, since we look down on that, it won't catch on. It's something we need to own as Americans, because it is an American thing. You know, most languages don't have a word comparable to nerd. They don't have a word that means you're smart, that's bad. It doesn't exist in most languages. That's purely an American thing. We demonize education. And it's something we need to work on. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good night.